All right, welcome to round number 3. I, again, don't really see myself keeping a 5-mana source hand, even with a canopy, though. I said that, and then we ended up keeping a 4-mana source hand without a canopy. This hand, I'm definitely going to keep on the draw here. Bottom stuff that's not a mana source. Obviously, we do have the Vial, so if we miss our land drop, it's not completely the end of the world, but it would be preferable to actually be able to cast a spell on turn 2 rather than just say go. Perfect. Go ahead and run that out there to save ourselves the life point against Misty Rainforest. It's possible the life point could matter. There's just a lot of stuff our opponent could be, but it's probably interesting. Okay, well now I'm not sure. I was gonna say maybe we were like a Blue Moon deck. Okay, we're just Infect. Sure, that makes sense. One of the few breeding pool decks. It's a sweet draw, I suppose. Thalia's going to be pretty reasonable against our opponent, so let's run that out there. I think our hand in general, not great against Infect. Obviously, we don't really have a lot of the sort of disruptive elements, freebooters and meddling mages, things like that. So we're going to need to find some of those. But Thalia, I say we don't have any disruptive element. We do have Thalia, right, which is helpful. A little less helpful than the rest of those, but still very good against our opponent, especially on a draw where they're interested in Ink Moth being their attacker. All right, we're going to put in this Thraben Inspector. Get a clue. But it maybe AFK or double queuing. I doubt that they're tanking hard on this Thraben Inspector trigger, especially with Thalia in play and 1 mana available. I'm not sure they're going to want to mutagenic growth something in response to that. So, all right, we do get our clue. We are going to take this up to 2 for sure here. Drawing the land is great. So I want the counter here or here. I don't think it's going to be particularly relevant. I think I want it here, so we're going to cast this, and with the trigger on the stack, I'm going to Vial in Thalia's Lieutenant. Then we're going to cross our fingers and hope we don't die. Trigger on the stack. Not a Lava Spike this time. This time it's a Boros Charm. What up? Alright, and then we get to attack for 5. This Thraben Inspector was, all in all, a sweet draw this game. Definitely helped make the rest of our cards better. So opponent's going to have to kill us this turn, which is definitely possible, but certainly going to be incredibly difficult. I guess it might not even be theoretically possible. I guess they would have to have something like a gut shot realistically in a pile of mutagenics, and they can't even really pay enough life most likely. Yeah, Thalia is just doing too much work here for that to be really reasonable. But they do have this Ink Moth to block now. Fortunately for us... I guess no. Fortunately for us, we have this Thalia's Lieutenant to clean that up. So they block here. And then still take lethal. All right, thank you, Thalia. It is much appreciated. All right, Staticasters may be worthwhile. Most likely going to be worthwhile. Dismembers for sure as well. Not interested in these or Mirror Crusader. I am interested in Freebooter a little bit, and Reflector Mage. Stuff like this starts to get a little clunky, especially on the draw. You basically are going to need a Vial to make it really reasonable, but it's nice that it's creature interaction that could effectively cost me 0 mana, right, if you're trying to combine interaction, which against Infect you often have to do, or time your interaction at weird times, right, as well. Meddling Mage, also likely going to be reasonable, and then Sin Collector is like a potential. I'm a little bit wary of like thinking that all these 3 mana cards are going to save me against the Infect deck on the draw. Like, if this works out, it's great, right? That's exactly what we want. If it doesn't work out, it's going to look real embarrassing when you're like, I guess, Reflector your guy, and they're like, yeah, Vines kill you. Untap kill you. But, what if these Meddling Mages aren't great? I feel like they're probably great. There's only so many protection spells between Vines and Blossoming Defense. I mean, they can also have Apostle's Blessing. And the protection spells are likely going to be what I want to name. I think I just absolutely can't possibly leave these in my board. I think these Sin Collectors are going to end up having to stay just by virtue of being 3 mana. These are likely going to get the axe here. This is going to be a tough game to cut cards as well. Maybe I'm going to have to cut the Malcontents here. Like, they definitely shave turns off of the clock, but I'm really not the beatdown here, I don't think. I mean, maybe I am supposed to just race. Like, that game we definitely were just racing, but the only reason we were able to be in a position to just race is because of Thalia, right? Mantis Rider can block Ink Moths, which I think is a pretty big game. Images seem pretty good, but Vines kills them. Blossoming Defense does not. Apostle's Blessing. I would have to check. I can't remember if Blessing targets creatures. I only have 20 seconds, but I can't remember if Apostle's Blessing targets creatures you can't control. I don't think so. I think it's target creature you control. Yeah, it is you control. It's possible I should still shave an image or two. Maybe leave a Malcontents. I don't know. All right. Yeah, I think this is going to be a keep. Freebooter into Reflector can be very good here, and we do have the Vial as well. Might just end up being too slow on the draw, but we'll see. We obviously even get a second Freebooter if we need one, right? Like, cast this one on turn 2, copy it on turn 3 with the Vial, and also have Reflector. So if our opponent has multiple pump spells, or excuse me, protection spells, we can still get it. The problem is, ooh, sweet. We might not have that luxury, right? Like, if our opponent has the kill here, I'm not going to be able to take protection spells. But that's all right. Gonna have to name Illusion on one of these. I guess I don't have to. I have the Vial, but I have the luxury of doing so if I want to down the road here. All right, let's take a look. What's our opponent got over there? Blood Agent, Groundswell, Growth, Vines. So I mean, 1, 2, 3. If they draw a land, 7, 9. So I think I can afford to take the Vines here, and then if my opponent draws, I guess they have this other Blighted Agent though. But then I could Reflector. The problem is I don't actually close the game fast enough to not die to this. But the Vines is worth... I mean, if my opponent draws the land, the Vines is worth 4 as well, because they'll actually have the spare mana. So, I guess it is just resoundingly the Vines. Like... 7, 8, 9. I mean, yeah, because they use 2 mana on that, use 2 life or even mana on that, and then still have Pendelhaven. Yep, okay. It's just definitely the Vines. No reason to take anything else. Hopefully we don't just... I guess it's pretty hard for me to die here, since if they draw a spell, they're not groundswelling me for 4. I wonder if this means they drew a protection spell. I think I'm still just going to try and reflect 1. With how much information we have about our opponent's hand, we might actually be able to get them with Image Reflector next turn. Take a little bit of a gamble. Generally, you don't want to be interacting with Infect on in the middle of their combat. It's definitely asking to get blown out, but sometimes it's worth the gamble, depending on the situation. I mean, if my opponent doesn't take any action here and they just attack me for, say, 3 Infect, I'll be fine with that. But obviously I'm sort of taking a risk by not, like, freebooting them on my turn. Yeah, so this is certainly fine. And then, yeah, we'll go to damage. And then end step here, we'll freeboot. And then get to untap and reflect. I wonder if opponent drew like Dismember here. This thinking on the vial. I feel like that's the only thing they could really be tanking on, but if I had like Image and they wanted to Dismember something, if they're worried about me imaging it or whatever, but oh wow. It's Echoing Truth. Interesting. All right, well, at least we get to take a look. Also Spell Pierce. Kind of surprised to see Spell Pierce here post board. We got all 5, right? Yeah. All right. Gonna be leaving this on 2. I already have 3 2-drops. Echoing Truth there just doesn't really accomplish anything, honestly. Like, we just get to replay all these things. Plus, we get to do this. Copy this. Bounce this. In a pretty commanding spot from here. I think I name Illusion in case I decide I want to tick up my Aether Vial. I guess the problem... Oh. Super confused. I didn't see that behind the revealed zone for some reason. No, let's just dismiss this since we'll get to look at it again. I just don't see any of this really mattering since they can't recast these next turn. But if they could, I guess I'd want to take the biggest pump spells, like if they found a Glistener Elf or an Ink Moth. Ink Moth even less scary, I suppose. I guess Glistener Elf or Ink Moth we have a million blockers for, so... Yeah, I just don't really see this game going going poorly for us. But yeah, Echoing Truth's a weird one. I guess it's kind of sweet because like it can help you win a race in a spot where we have like huge champions or whatever. But like in their end step against freebooters, I'm just gonna be able to replay them and snatch those things back up. And they lost their Echoing Truth, but yeah, like if they had just left it that way, I'd be in kind of a weird spot, right? Where like I could take the Echoing Truth or take the pump spell. Or, excuse me, the... No, I guess we already had their only protection spell, right? So I was going to get to still... I would just take the Echoing Truth, I suppose, and then bounce their guy. If our opponent had one more mana, they'd be in a good spot there, right? That would have been sick, where they get to, like, bounce both our freebooters, get Vines back, and then... no, I guess it still wouldn't matter. I just retake the Vines. Yeah, still in there in step. So it's not like I was reflecting right then. Anyway, yeah, it seems like a tough matchup for our opponent, all things considered, with how much disruption we have. But I will see you in just a moment for the next round.